Let's proceed our discussion by talking about Archie's law. Now, before jumping right into the topic, I'll tell you a few things. I am assuming that you are quite aware about porosity, permeability, what saturation is, and what is coonate water saturation, and all these similar terms. So, these are the basic petrophysical properties, right? There's one more petrophysical property which is quite often missed, that is resistivity. Now, similar to these properties, this is also one of the inherent properties of the reservoir, and the whole science of well logging was established around resistivity. तो जो पूरी पिक्चर थी वेल लॉगिंग की, फॉर्मेशन एवेल्यूएशन की, सबसे पहले रेजिस्टिविटी मेजर करने के लिए ही ये स्टार्ट हुआ था. सो या यू मस्ट नॉट कंफ्यूज्ड this with resistance. There's a very basic difference between them. If I give you one example, let's say you have a very long wire. One end of the wire is in New Delhi. Another end of this wire is in Chennai. Now, since wire is extremely long, and let's say this wire has a very low resistivity, but due to its extreme length, it will be having high resistance. So, I hope you are clear that resistivity is some type of inherent property, and it is totally dependent upon the molecular structure of this material, not on the dimension. So, this property, resistivity, cannot be changed, whereas resistance is not an inherent property. It changes with changing the dimension, because if you somehow manage to decrease the length of the wire, the resistance will also decrease. And there's a relationship between resistivity and resistance, which is defined by from now onwards, I will be denoting capital R, resistivity with capital R, and resistance with small r. There's also a very famous, very popular law known as Ohm's law, which basically indicates that when you apply a potential difference of, let's say, V value across an object of resistance R, you will obtain current I. So we'll use applications of these two formulas and derive Archie's law. Alright, so first thing you need to do is imagine a cube of 1 meter cube volume. So this is our cube. cube of 1 meter cube volume. Since it is a cube, its length will be equal to 1 meter and its cross sectional area will be equal to 1 meter square, right? Therefore, in this case, resistivity will be equal to R, because cross sectional area and length both are equal. Now this cube is empty for now. We'll make slight modifications in cube. Alright, so the first thing which we need to do is add electrode plates on the either side of the cube. Now for simplicity, I'll make a 2D representation of this cube. I'll make a bigger one. This is the same cube. With electrodes on either side. Now these electrodes will help in generation of current across the cube, as these electrodes will apply a voltage, a specific voltage. Now this cube is empty for now, there's nothing but air inside it. So all you need to do is come up with a bucket of saline water and fill this cube completely. You add saline water in this cube, completely fill it. And next thing you need to do is apply a voltage of a value, let's say V. So the resistivity which you would obtain will be equal to some value which is V, which is represented by V by I1, and I1 is the reading measured by some ammeter. So you have added saline water in this cube. Now come up with a bucket of sand and again fill this cube with this sand. Now by filling this cube completely with sand, a large amount of water would be expelled, but the water will not be completely expelled. There will be some amount of water present inside the pores, and water present inside these pores will be responsible for generation of current, because sand is nothing but a infinite resistivity medium. This thing will hardly contribute to production of current inside this body. So another reading I2 is obtained, and that's mainly because of the presence of water present inside the pores of these sands. So on applying a voltage of V, we obtain current I2, and it is quite obvious that I2 is less than I1. That's because in this case the box was completely filled with a conducting material. There was no resistance offered to it. Now this volume of conducting material has been reduced to a very small level. That's why there's reduction in current. And there's one more thing, that R0, this thing, is somehow related to RW, because for example, you somehow managed to increase the salinity of this water, the water which was already present inside the cube. Now if you increase its salinity, its conductivity will increase, hence its resistivity would decrease. Now even on addition of sands, the water present inside the pores will be same. The water would not change, and that is the only thing which is responsible for conduction of current. So on changing this thing, on changing the properties of water, there will be change in resistivity of this water filled sand, because water is same in both the cases, only thing has changed that water, the volume of water has reduced. So these two are defined by a relationship. Since there is a increase in resistivity due to addition of some factor of formation, on addition of on addition of factor of formation, the volume has been, the volume of water has been decreased, and hence this relationship is given. This F is called formation factor. Now many scientists came up with different ideas, and they tried to understand that what all things are, what all properties define this value of formation factor. So they came up with an empirical equation F is equals to A by phi to the power m. Now this A is cementation factor and m is cementation exponent. Now these two things are geological parameters. So we'll have a basic overview about these topics, these parameters. Now to understand this A, cementation factor, take two cubes, similar cubes, fill them with water, and all the properties of these cubes is same. The saline water, salinity of water, and dimensions of these cube, everything is kept same. Now only difference that you will make, that fill this cube with sand and fill this another cube with crushed limestone. Now when you apply electrodes on the either side and generate a voltage, you will obtain a current, and ideally the current should be equal, because sandstone and limestone, both of them are infinite resistivity medium, they do not conduct any sort of electricity, right? But that does not happen. The current obtained in both of the cases are different. Even when the porosity is kept same, this current would vary, and that's because between the matrix and the fluid present inside the matrix, there's some sort of reaction, some sort of ion exchange mechanism, and which is held responsible for variation of this current. So this thing is defined by A. You don't have to memorize its values, just know the basic thing that what A is. Now coming to M. Now you have two porous media, two different medias. One of the porous medium is highly cemented and another one is unconsolidated. So this one is highly cemented and this one is unconsolidated. That is, there's no cementation, there's no aggregation, so which can keep this whole volume intact. Now due to cementation, this cementing material will occupy an excess volume, therefore less amount of volume will be available for the water, for the saline water. Hence when you apply the voltage through this material, the water will have to take a meandering long path. It will not be a straight line, whereas in this case there is no cementing material and there is no obstruction to the flow of water, so the water will simply flow like this. So this difference due to the addition of cementation material is called as cementation exponent. So these A and M are very geological properties. They're important from geological aspect. The petroleum engineer, only thing they need to do is take this value from the geologist and apply it in this equation. And also formation factor will depend upon porosity, because on increasing the porosity in this case is in decimal. So on increasing the porosity, the amount of water, the volume of water will increase, hence the effect of this formation will decrease as the resistivity will decrease further. Now on decreasing the porosity, the availability to water will be lesser, hence the factor of formation is increasing and the factor of water is decreasing. So this is how formation factor depends upon this porosity. So far we have discussed about addition of sand in a water filled cube. Now we have taken the same cube which was already filled with water and sand. So it is already filled with sand, and inside these sands, inside the pores of these sands, there's saline water. Now by some means, by some method, you came up with oil and fill this box with oil. So by injecting the oil inside this cube, this water and sand filled cube, some amount of water will be expelled, as the force is not enough to expel the sand itself. So the pores of the sand will be now filled up with oil and it will have some amount of saline water. So the pore which was initially completely filled with water is now filled with water as well as oil. Now our oil is again a medium of high resistivity or low conductivity, and by addition of oil, by increasing the volume of oil, the volume of water will decrease, because the volume available is fixed here, and on replacing the water with oil, the overall conductivity will decrease. So on measuring current, it will give you a reading of I3. Therefore the resistance that will be measured will be equal to V by I3. Now you can see that RT will be somehow related with this R0, which is related with RW. Now on decreasing or increasing the conductivity of saline water, resistivity of this whole system, which only contains water, will decrease. So if you pour the sand, the original water remains same, so there will be some impact, some decrement in R0 value also. Similarly, the water is kept same, although the volume has decreased, but the volume original water is the same. Therefore RT will also decrease to an extent. So something, maybe there's some factor which defines, which handles, which is held responsible for relation between them, and that factor would be saturation, because on reducing the saturation of water, this thing is increasing. Hence a new relationship between RT and R0 will be defined by RT equal to 1 by SW to the power n into R0. Here n is saturation exponent. So we have two main equations with us, which are required for defining the final Archie's law equation. Now this, we have one more equation, and we have understood that what F is. Now we will simply substitute this value of R0 here. Our final equation will become RT is equals to 1 by SW to the power n into A divided by phi to the power m into RW. And when you rearrange this equation, take S on the left hand side and bring RT on the right hand side, then this will become SW to the power n A by phi to the power m RW by RT. So this is our final Archie's law equation. Now we have final form of Archie's law equation with us, and here RT is true resistivity, RW is resistivity of formation water. And there's also one more term called R naught, which is resistivity of 100% water saturated formation. And to conclude this thing, we have currents I3, I2 and I1, whereas the I1 is maximum, which only had water, saline water. I2 is sand plus water, and I3 is oil plus sand plus water. Now you can observe that the volume which we have is fixed. The only thing which is decreasing from I1 to I3 is the volume of conductive medium, that is the volume of water. Therefore, the current is also increasing. Now, there's also one thing, since we know that F is equal to 8 phi to the power m. So, many relationships can be defined between them and many graphs can be plotted. So, there was a question on this formula, this specific formula. A graph was given which had formation F on y-axis and porosity on x-axis, and this graph was on log scale, and there were several lines of different slopes. Now you have to identify that which line among them is highly cemented, which of them is moderately cemented, and which one is unconsolidated. So we'll take log on both the sides, log f, log a minus m, log phi. For simplicity, we'll keep this term out because log a would be somewhere. And since this looks like a straight line equation which is dependent upon this slope m, and the slope is negative, which you can see here in the diagram also. So higher the magnitude of slope, higher will be the m, hence higher will be the cementation. The slope is highest in this case. Now if you get confused between how to understand the magnitude of which slope is higher, then do one thing: keep a ball here, and this ball will roll off down the slope faster in this line, hence the magnitude of slope will be high. The slope is like this, is quite gentle, then the ball will take time to go down the slope. So this is how you can make a quick understanding of which of the slope has higher magnitude. Now m1 is highest, m2 is lesser than m1, and m3 is the least. So obviously m2 is moderately cemented, m1 is highly cemented, and m3 is unconsolidated. So that's it for Archie's law. We will discuss few more things when we complete this sensor, different types of sensors and different types of tools. There are many more things still remaining in Archie's law, and many more equations which we will cover under that standard interpretation techniques.